Today we're talking about an anecdotal record. An anecdotal record is an objective record. It's periodic over a time which monitors a specific task or development. Many anecdotal records put together over time tell a story of the development of that child in various domains. What is not an anecdotal record? It's not a subjective record of your own feelings towards a child or to place comment on or your personal opinion about the child's progress or development. Remember, be objective with the facts. Subjectivity is your own opinion. So I'm going to give you a list of tasks that might be in an anecdotal record, and I want you to single out which ones are the factual ones and which ones are the subjective ones. So which ones are objective and which ones are subjective. First one, selects toys for play. 2, puts toys away. 3, cries like a baby. 4, wants his own way. 5, cleans up spills. 6, can button pants. 7, argues and throws temper tantrum. 8, smiles. 9, is disagreeable in the morning. And 10, answers when spoken to. So which ones are the ones that are subjective? Number 3, cries like a baby. That's subjective because when you say like a baby, you are putting your own opinion in there. Cries is just all that's needed. Number 4, wants his own way. You may think that he wants his own way, and that may be a fact, but it's not a documentable fact. Parents may look at that and say, he's crying because someone called him a name, not because he wants his own way. Number 7, argues and throws a temper tantrum. Temper tantrum is one of those words that is kind of sort of subjective, even though we all know what a temper tantrum is. So if the child is throwing a temper tantrum, you might say child falls to the floor, kicks and screams. That describes a temper tantrum. It's less value-laden in the term. And number 9 is disagreeable in the morning. What may be disagreeable to you may not be disagreeable to someone else. So you have to note the behavior that is disagreeable. Disagreeable might mean the child doesn't talk, the child grunts when spoken to, doesn't respond, the child wants to be left alone, the child isolates, things like that. That would be more objective as opposed to subjective. So you need to use the language of observation when making anecdotal notes. Remember, anecdotal notes are notes that you take, brief notes that you take, observing a child in the different domains over a period of time. They don't have to be the same behavior, it's just whatever behavior is unique and specific to that child. So you need to use the language of observation. You need to use verbs, adjectives, use the correct tense, use the correct sequence of events. Write what you see. So, an example, if a child cries when hit, write that. Don't write the child was hit because she was called stupid head. So make sure you say the child cries when she was struck. So what are the advantages to the anecdotal record? There's no specific form. You don't have to have a template. You just have a note card maybe on the child or a piece of paper that you put the child's name. Make sure you always date it. So make sure you write about what the setting is. It's important because that changes how a child reacts throughout the day. If a child is energetic, or if they're tired, or if they're reacting to food after lunch, all of those things affect a child's behavior. It's advantageous because the facts presented draw a conclusion. When you look at something over a period of time, the evidence is there. So if a child is hitting, you would have documentation of that over a period of time, and that parents can't dispute documentation if it's objective. If it's subjective, they will dispute it. It gives short contextual accounts of an incident, so it lets you know specific things over a period of time. It gives a sense of being there. Parents can see that this has happened regularly throughout the day. And it separates judgments or inferences from the detail of the incident. So if they're done correctly, it takes away that value of I'm judging your child, and it just puts a behavior on the table. It takes away your child is bad, or your child is super good. It just puts a behavior on the table, and then that behavior can be discussed. It removes the value that parents feel like their child is being judged. So make a list of the things that you take pride in. It might be you know how to change a tire on a car. It might be that you bake bread. Maybe you can play an instrument. Maybe you're good at something like art, or you can crochet or knit or create something. Maybe you're good at sports. You can play a main game of softball, or you're good at soccer. I want you to make a list of things that you're good at. After you make the list, I want you to reflect on how it gives you pride to be able to do these things. You weren't born knowing these skills. You had to develop them. The same way that a child, when they use self-help skills, when they learn to button their pants, when they learn to cut their food with a knife and fork, when they learn to feed themselves when they're real small, when they learn to tie their shoes. Those are self-help skills, and a child takes pride in their self-help skills, just like we take pride in skills that we develop. So think about a time when you might have worked with a child or your own children in toilet training. Toilet training is an emotionally charged subject. Most people who have had children or work with children have some sort of toilet training experience to talk about, something that's happened to them that was something that they remembered. So finish the statement. The most uncomfortable part for me about working with children surrounding toilet training is, and write that down. I think it's uncomfortable for me because, write that down. Maybe it would be better if I, write that down. So when you think about that, think about the child and the things that you are observing and writing notes about in their self-help skills. Self-help is just one category you can look at, but it's a good measurable category, and it might be a good one to use for your anecdotal record assignment. And think about your child when you observe them over a period of time. Let's say you watched them for over 2 weeks, and you looked at the child learning how to tie their shoe. And you looked at them at the beginning and the middle and the end of that time period. Think about the child and say the most uncomfortable thing for this child about tying their shoe is, and write what it is. And then think, I think it is because, and write what it is. And then say, maybe it will be better if I, and write what it is. That is reflective practice. You're looking at what the child can do and what the child is learning to do, and you're thinking of ways that will help the child, and you're thinking of it from the child's perspective. That's an anecdotal record, and that's a reflection on an anecdotal record. You're going to be writing 3 anecdotal records and 3 reflections on the anecdotal records in this assignment.